Hi guys, do you want to run faster in distance running and do a marathon? Today, I will tell you one of the simplest and most effective ways to run faster. Alright, let me cut to the chase. One of the most effective and the simplest ways to run faster is increasing moderate volume for you step by step. In other words, increasing your average weekly running volume step by step. First of all, you need to understand that training itself has no meaning, but adaptation which is induced by the right training makes you faster. The more you adapt to the right training, the faster you get. Then, here's a question. What kind of training do we human beings adapt to easily? The answer is the training we can keep repeating without any problems, like getting injured or getting tired too much or having overtraining syndrome. In other words, daily training for you is the easiest training which gets you faster. Here's the point. For you, not for someone else. Daily training for you is the easiest training which your body can adapt to. However, if you give your body the same training stimulus over and over again, the training does not make you faster anymore. So, you need to increase your training load step by step. Again, the easiest training which your body can adapt to is daily training for you, and if you keep doing the same training all the time, sooner or later, your fitness level stagnates. From these 2 points of view, we automatically get the following conclusion. We need to increase daily training for ourselves, step by step. Then, here are 2 questions. First, what is daily training for us? In other words, what does daily training for us mean? Exactly. Second, what kind of training do we need? Let's start with the first question. Daily training is training which we can handle without any problems. From this point of view, race is not daily training at all. No matter how many years you've been running. I have been running for 20 years. Once I ran marathon 213 and ran marathon under 220 many times. But still running marathon under 220 is not my daily training. In other words, I cannot do that without any problems. After marathon races, I am always very exhausted, have massive pains, probably also some skin wounds in nipples, the bottom foot, and so on. What I can do at the maximal effort and what I can do daily without any problems is completely a different story. Also, I work every day, 365 days a year. So if I am extremely tired, I cannot work after running. It should not affect my work. So I should have reserves for work after my workouts so that I can keep working. More or less, you'd be in the same situation. More or less. I don't know. Maybe you work 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, or you have a family, you have a wife, or you are single, or you have another hobbies. But whatever the situation you are in, you would be in the same situation with me, more or less, right? But what you can do daily and what I can do daily are usually different. I mean, in terms of training, some people can do 10K at 5 minutes per kilometer pace daily and others can't. Some people can do 20K run at 4 minutes per kilometer pace daily and others can't. So, increasing the training load step by step is very important. I mean, a daily training load step by step is very important. It's one of the simplest and easiest ways to get you faster. Second, what kind of training do we need? The bottom line is training which requires lots of aerobic metabolism and muscle resistance for running. In other words, continuous running. Sometimes doing interval workouts or fire trick is okay, but even when you do interval workouts or fire trick, you still keep running, right? There are recovery sessions between fast running sessions, but even in recovery sessions, you keep jogging. While sprinters run only around 100 meters and start walking, sitting, or just standing, chatting, that's a completely different training stimulus. You need to keep running for a while, at least 20 minutes. This is the bottom line. Based on my experience as a coach, the golden zone is 30 to 40 minutes. This doesn't mean 40 minutes continuous run is better than 60 minutes continuous run. If you can handle 60 minutes continuous run daily, it's better than 40 minutes continuous run daily. But 30 to 40 minutes continuous run is the zone most runners can do daily easily, and they can get a lot of improvements from those 30 to 40 minutes continuous run. In other words, you cannot get a lot of improvements from only 10 minutes continuous runs. And also, for most of people, it's very difficult to run 90 minutes every day for daily training. And if you try to do 30 to 40 minutes continuous run daily, naturally, the pace is slow enough. In other words, you naturally run slow enough not to demand anaerobic metabolism. We human beings live without anaerobic metabolism usually. You use anaerobic metabolism only something emergency happens. For example, you need to run away from a criminal, or you need to fight back to a drunk man, or you need to lift something very heavy. In a daily life, we don't use anaerobic metabolism. In other words, once we start using anaerobic metabolism, it's difficult to do it daily. Can you fight daily? How many matches boxers fight? Probably 5 matches, 5 games a year. That's it. Of course, boxers do training, but boxers, I think, cannot fight every day, seriously. If they do that, sooner or later, they will die. And of course, the war is the same. You cannot start a big war with your wife every day, right? Sometimes it's okay, maybe you can handle it, but it should never be daily training for you. Anyway, in a daily life, we don't use anaerobic metabolism. So, if you try to do endurance runs daily without any problems, the pace naturally becomes slow enough not to use anaerobic metabolism. And try to increase the distance which you can handle without any problems. Probably in the very beginning, you should start with 10 minutes endurance runs, and then go for 15 minutes, and then go for 20 minutes, and then go for 30 minutes, and then go for 40 minutes, and on and on. Of course, you don't need to do the same training every day. Rather, it is better to do various workouts and make a little bit change. But here, what I'm talking is looking at your average training. Not very hard workouts or not very excellent workouts when you feel great, but look at your average training load and look at your average intensity of your training and the average training volume. This is what I mean daily training. And the example of changing workouts is something like this. Today you do 20 minutes with moderate intensity, tomorrow 30 minutes easy run, then 20 minutes moderate run, and then 30 minutes easy run, etc. Also, it is good to go for an endurance run which you feel long once in a while, like once a week or once every 2 weeks. That is so-called long runs. Anyway, always look at your weekly volume. Don't think your daily training is 10K moderate run because you do 10K endurance runs 3 times a week, because in that case, you run only 4.75 kilometers a day average. Average running volume is called moderate volume by me. One of the simplest and most effective way of running faster is increasing moderate intensity and moderate volume step by step. Some people ask me how much they should increase at once. My answer is 5 minutes or 2K at once. If your moderate volume is 8 kilometers a day now, then go for 10K a day when you feel you are ready. If your moderate volume is 30 minutes a day now, go for 5 minutes more a day whenever you feel ready. And in case you live in the USA, maybe 1 mile more per day is a good idea. Then you'd increase your volume around 10K a week at once, approximately. Also, I get asked very often up to how many kilometers they need to increase. My answer is around 200 kilometers a week or around 20 miles a day. Of course, I'm talking about the average volume. This is not a joke. This is it. But of course, most cannot reach that level because they get problems if they run 200 kilometers a week or 20 miles a day. However, do not prejudge your potential. Just try to increase your moderate volume as much as possible and do not hesitate to decrease your running volume if you feel not okay. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but our lives very often go out of the straight line. That is normal, so don't be ashamed. Always calibrate by increasing the volume and decreasing the volume and see how your body feels and responds. By the way, in my case, it took about 6 to 7 years till I regularly run 200 kilometers a week. So it takes about, I think, at least 5 years, and in some cases 10 years, and in some cases 15 years. Just like that. So be patient and do not prejudge your potential. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoy your running every day and increase your total volume of running as much as possible. Lastly, if you want to learn more about how to run faster, please click the link below and download my free ebook, The 3 Things to Run Faster Dramatically Without Any Injuries and Overtraining. Thank you for your watching.
あれは嵐し我が敵は我が身に潜む臆病像これに打ち勝つ我が筒は心に秘めたる国旗心国旗の心を持つ者はなどて恐るることやある非人に恥じぬ勇持ちて我らはいかん心して立つ時こそは今なるぞ人に遅れて恥かくないざすら音なるまでは走れや走れ者ともに滴る汗を光らせてなどてたゆとことやある決戦に鉄より固き心を持つ修繕この肩すたれたる大和のこの今さらにまた世にずるいの誉れ嵐しここに集いたり叩き心のいい鉄に嵐し魂あるものの時こそ来たれれいいか一歩も後に引く流れいざまずら音なるまでは走れや走れ者ともに滴る汗を光らせてなどてたゆのことやる前を望めば苦難なり右も左もまた苦難空の月を見上げては七難八苦を望むのも我らが力試すため常に前へと意地を見せん闘魂もゆる荒獅子の気をここに今見よや人生意気に感じては聖碑を誰かあげつらういざますら音なるまでは走れや走れ者ともに滴る汗を光らせ